SpongeBob SquarePants is an American classic, heck, staple in not only animation, but entertainment. And ever since that yellow sponge made his appearance in 1999, he's been Nickelodeon's #1 show. Hundreds of episodes and many movies later, there's still one that doesn't fully make sense to me. So let's dive in. So I've been thinking about this SpongeBob episode for a while. It's called Dine from Pie from season 2, and I'm sure you all know the episode. On the surface, it's just a funny little episode where SpongeBob and Squidward exchange gifts, and Squidward accidentally gives SpongeBob a pie that has a bomb in it, and he's scared that he's basically murdered his coworker. Classic golden age SpongeBob, right? Silly and random. But even as a kid, I've kind of had a problem and questions about this premise. I just can't forget it and let it go. The big question I have is, why is the pie a bomb? Like, not haha, that's so random. I mean, actually, why is it a bomb? Who made it? Who were they trying to kill, and where did it come from? And why did this crew of pirates just have a bag of explosive pies sitting around like that's normal? This is probably the funniest scene in the show to me. The pirate just casually explaining that they aren't really pies, but not explaining why they aren't really pies. The show wants you to just accept it, and as a kid for a brief second, I kinda did, but I'm not a kid anymore, I'm a man. And the more I look at this episode, the more I realize the pie thing isn't just the weirdest part, because by the end of the episode, SpongeBob is blowing bubbles, and the bubbles are also exploding. So what the hell is going on in Bikini Bottom? And real quick, just to set the scene, to give you a bit of a recap. It's Employee Brotherhood Day at the Krusty Krab. SpongeBob gives Squidward a sweater made from his own eyelashes. Squidward wants no part of it and decides to just buy a gift instead. He finds some pirates outside selling pies, except, like we said, they're not really pies. They're bombs. Squidward buys one for $25 and gives it to SpongeBob, and a crumb of it blows a hole through the back wall of the Krusty Krab. Squidward sees that SpongeBob ate the pie, and Mr. Krab tells Squidward that the pie will explode when it hits SpongeBob's lower intestine around sunset. So Squidward, being the nice person he is, spends the whole day trying to make SpongeBob's last hours meaningful. Sunset comes, there's a huge explosion. Squidward breaks down, crying at what he's just done, and then SpongeBob walks out completely fine. He actually never ate the pie, even though he does say,
"Thanks for the pie, Squidward! Thanks for the pie, Squidward!"
Thanks for the pie, Squidward. He's just back there blowing bubbles, explosive bubbles, for fun. And that's the episode. Now let's get to the most obvious question. Why are the pies bombs? And I don't mean this rhetorically. I genuinely want to know who made these, because somebody sat down and decided, you know what, this pie needs explosives, black powder. Was it the pirates? Did they make them? Are they pirates giving it to other people for it to explode in their face? Is there a market for explosive baked goods in Bikini Bottom that we just never see again? The pirates tell Squidward straight up that these aren't really pies, which means they know exactly what they're selling. And here's what gets me. When Squidward tries to buy one, the pirate does hesitate. Like, he almost doesn't want to sell it, and then he just does anyway for $25. No questions asked, no, "Hey man, what are you planning to do with this?" Nothing.
Oh, these aren't homemade. They were made in a factory. A bomb factory. They're bombs.
Oh, that's too bad. I thought they were pies, and I wanted to buy one.
Wait! We were just kidding about all that bomb stuff. That'll be $25, please.
So we've got pirates selling explosive pies outside of a fast food restaurant to a random guy in a Krusty Krab uniform, and the show just moves on. Okay, let's say we accept that. Weird things exist in Bikini Bottom. Maybe bomb pies are just a product that you can buy there, fine. What I cannot accept is Mr. Krabs knowing exactly how they work. He picks up a crumb off the floor, watches it blow a hole through his wall, and immediately goes, oh yeah, that'll explode when it hits his lower intestine around sunset. How does Mr. Krabs know that? Now, I know he has experience and he's worked in the Navy. Do they have explosive pies there? Has he seen this before? Has someone eaten one of these in front of him? Does Mr. Crab have a history with explosive pies that the show just isn't telling us more about? Because that was way too specific. That man has done his research. And this is the part that really got me as a kid. The explosion at the end isn't even from the pie. SpongeBob never ate it. Once again, the explosion at the end of the episode are just bubbles. Bubbles that SpongeBob blew that exploded on contact for some reason. So the pie being a bomb almost doesn't even matter anymore because SpongeBob's bubbles are also bombs? Which means the question isn't really why is the pie a bomb? The bigger and broader question is how and why are things in Bikini Bottom so explosive? Okay, we need to start building our evidence because once you start looking for random explosions and dangerous things in Bikini Bottom, you realize that they are everywhere. So let's start with the one you probably already thought of, the Texas episode. Season 1, Sandy is chasing SpongeBob and Patrick through Bikini Bottom. They're insulting dumb old Texas, trying to lure her to the Krusty Krab. And Sandy lassos Patrick, yanks him back, and there is a full nuclear explosion in the background. Patrick just disappears into it. They're gone. Patrick does show up at the end of the episode, by the way, wrapped head to toe in bandages, but other than that, nobody addresses it. Then there's the jellyfishing episode. Squidward falls off a cliff on his bicycle, hits the bottom, then explodes into a mushroom cloud. Not just a cartoon puff of smoke, a mushroom cloud. Same thing happens again in My Pretty Seahorse. It's like the writers just decided that's what happens when Squidward hits the ground hard enough. And here's the one that's gonna make you look at Mr. Krabs differently. There's a later episode where Mr. Krabs gets so paranoid about Plankton stealing the Krabby Patty formula that he makes what the show literally calls danger patties. Krabby Patties laced with explosives, a bear trap, and jellyfish. Mr. Krab made those. This man took what he learned from those bomb pies and said, not a bad idea. And then there's the big one, the explosion at the end of Dying for Pie. The show actually used real footage for that. Well, specifically footage from the Operation Crossroads Baker nuclear test, a real atomic bomb test from 1946. The sound designer on the episode confirmed that the explosion was built from 6 different explosion tracks layered on top of one another. They went to extraordinary lengths to make that moment hit as hard as possible, and they chose to ground it in actual nuclear test footage. And I find that interesting. Now we've got explosive pies, explosive bubbles, mushroom clouds, danger patties, and real nuclear test footage baked into the show's most iconic explosion. And all of it points to the same place. A little bit of real life history. Bikini Bottom is not a made-up place. It's based on Bikini Atoll, a real coral reef in the Marshall Islands on the Pacific Ocean. And between 1946 and 1958, the United States government detonated 67 nuclear weapons there. But yes, 67. One of those bombs, the Operation Crossroads Baker test, the same one used for that explosion at the end of the episode Dying for Pie, was detonated underwater. They photographed the blast, and the show replicate that exact explosion shape almost every single time there's a big explosion on screen. Now, here's the theory that's been floating around the internet for years, and I think after everything we just went through, it's gonna hit a little different. The idea is that because Bikini Atoll was a nuclear test site, the creatures living beneath it were exposed to that radiation, which caused them to mutate. That's why they can talk, build things, drive boats, play instruments, badly run businesses. They're not just cartoon sea creatures, they're the result of decades of nuclear fallout sitting at the bottom of the ocean. The creator of the show made sure to take lots of detail when making this show. Every single thing, every single character was fully thought out from him. He was a marine biologist himself, so it had to be accurate as it could be, and that would explain everything. The random explosions, the mushroom clouds, the fact that SpongeBob's bubbles are somehow detonating. The environment itself is radioactive, or at least contains a lot of explosive material that is ready to blow. Things just go off because, well, they do. But here's where it goes from fan theory to something more. In late 2024, Mr. Lawrence, the voice of Plankton and a longtime writer on the show, confirmed it in an interview with Esquire. He didn't dance around it.
I always liked the theory that the whole thing was related to the atomic testing in Bikini Atoll.
And that is true. That is absolutely
It is true.
That is true.
I've been telling people it wasn't true.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely true. That was part of the fun of it, was how far are we taking that concept? I mean, right at the beginning when we were sort of developing it in the first season, it was like, are we going to play off of this apocalyptic thing? Like, the whole world is dead except for Bikini.
Like the whole world above is dead and Bikini Bottom is all that's left. The houses that are made out of mufflers and anchors and random junk that's debris from above, from a world that doesn't exist anymore. They go crazy on the full commit to that angle, and you can see why. The show goes back to the surface plenty of times, but the fact that it was ever the plan changes how you look at everything, including this exact episode. So is that why the pies are bombs? Is that why the bubbles explode? Is Bikini Bottom just a place where the rules of nature stopped applying the moment the bombs went off? I genuinely don't know, but I can't look at this episode the same way anymore. Let me all know what you think in the comments. Is there some validity to this? Why were the pies bombs? Who were the pirates giving them to? Are there any other episodes that make you just go, wait, what? You know? Leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe. I'll catch you all later. Peace.